Hello, everybody, and welcome back to WiseGuy Gaming, Sports, and Entertainment, and welcome back to Retro-spective. It's been a while, but what better moment to bring back this series than to discuss the Nintendo Entertainment System? Recently, Nintendo announced that they are going to be making a miniature version of the Nintendo Entertainment System, which is going to come preloaded with 30 games. Reading the list of games for you guys, if you don't know, it's going to come with the classics such as Balloon Fight, Bubble Bobble, Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, Donkey Kong, Donkey Kong Jr., Double Dragon 2, Dr. Mario, Excitebike, Final Fantasy, Galaga, Ghosts and Goblins, Gradius, Ice Climber, Kid Icarus, Kirby's Adventure, Mario Brothers, Mega Man 2, Metroid, Ninja Gaiden, Pac-Man, Punch-Out featuring Mr. Dream, Star Tropics, Super C, Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Brothers 3, Tecmo Bowl, The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Now, of course, there's some games that I feel personally they should be adding to that list. Kind of a head scratcher that Mega Man 1 isn't on there. Just like Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Why isn't that on there? But hey, who knows? Licensing reasons, whatnot. That's probably something behind that. All I know is that I'm excited for this, and this makes me go back and start down the road of nostalgia for the Nintendo Entertainment System, which in my mind has always been one of the greatest, if not the greatest, console to ever be released in gaming history. Why do I feel that way? Well, here's the thing. The Nintendo Entertainment System followed up a very interesting and hectic time in gaming. With the Atari 2600 and all the other iterations of the Atari, gaming on a console at home became a phenomenon. So companies produced tons and tons of games. Problem was, a lot of these games sucked. There was a lot of crap. There was a lot of garbage. And eventually, the industry fell under the weight of all that garbage. Literally, as a landfill was filled with cartridges, which was later confirmed by a documentary done by Microsoft, that there was a landfill full of games that Atari had dumped after the gaming industry pretty much blew itself up by just oversaturating the market with low quality product. The thing is, the Atari set off a revolution. It gave Nintendo the inspiration to do their own console, which God bless you, Atari, for doing so. Because even though the gaming industry was said to have crashed and it was looking bleak, with the release of the Famicom, which eventually became the Nintendo Entertainment System in the United States, gaming was given the second win. You could say that Nintendo kind of revolutionized and revitalized at the same time the gaming industry with this little console with the cartridges that you slid into its slot that were colorful, vibrant. You had like great music. Chip tunes became a very big thing. Something that, as a gamer, if you owned an Atari, you experienced a little of. You definitely didn't get the color palette that you got with Nintendo, but it was just such a great thing, and it just like popped out. I remember as a kid seeing the commercials for the Nintendo Entertainment System and just going nuts and like, oh my god, I have to have this. I begged and begged and begged my mom to get me this system, especially since they had this whole package that came with this light gun so that you could shoot these ducks. and this robot so that you could move these discs and manipulate the gaming world. This is revolutionary. This is crazy. And yes, I did end up getting the Nintendo Entertainment System that came with Rob and with the light gun. And I played Duck Hunt and I played Gyromite. Didn't really enjoy Gyromite that much in hindsight, as we all figured out in the end that the robot was kind of not the most useful thing. And some of you may remember that there was a great way to cheat the system, as the robot moved very, very slow and methodically and caused you to die more than not in Gyromite. So you just learned how to manipulate with one hand the gate and move the character with the other. Rob, it was a very enticing looking piece of hardware, but at the end of the day, like other future Nintendo peripherals such as Virtual Boy, it ended up falling to the wayside because it didn't meet the expectations that people had in their head. Trust me on this one. Seriously, trust me. If you've never experienced Rob, don't go out and buy yourself a retro system with a Rob. You're doing yourself a disservice right there. But the light gun, that was fire. That thing worked great. Love Duck Hunt. Love the Gunslinger game. And I can't think of the name of it, but you guys know what I'm talking about. But yeah. The Nintendo Entertainment System just did so much for gaming, and the games, the companies that it inspired. Think about this. Think about how celebrated Hideo Kojima is. You know that we may not know Hideo Kojima if it wasn't for the Nintendo Entertainment System, as he worked on many of Konami's earlier games. He helped out with games such as Castlevania and things like that. He begged for his chance to do Metal Gear, and while Metal Gear wasn't that successful on the Nintendo Entertainment System, it gained a good enough cult following where he got Metal Gear 2. And eventually, as time went on and as his stature grew, he got his opportunity to do Metal Gear Solid, and the rest is history. So without the Nintendo Entertainment System, we wouldn't have gotten names like him. We wouldn't have had a great knowledge of studios such as Activision, who was around during the Atari era, but grew in the Nintendo Entertainment System era. You wouldn't have gotten the Mario phenomenon. Mario became a huge iconic character. Link, huge iconic character. Kirby, huge iconic character. A lot of the most iconic characters that we have in gaming today existed back in the mid 80s. These Solid Snake, Link, all of them. Brands like Final Fantasy, Square doing the first Final Fantasy game as sort of a farewell shot as their company was falling apart, became a huge phenomenon. Now look at Square Enix. Even though they've had struggles recently, Square Enix is still one of the better, well-known companies, and Final Fantasy 15 wouldn't be looked at with such anticipation if it wasn't for the Nintendo Entertainment System having Final Fantasy and having that become a huge phenomenon. Capcom made its bones off of games like Ghosts and Goblins on the Nintendo Entertainment System. Where would they be if that system didn't exist? There's a lot of companies, a lot of brands, a lot of things that the Nintendo helped bring it to light, and God bless them for that system, because that system, it helped reinvigorate an industry. it brought gaming to the mainstream and to the forefront of, you know, media consciousness. And companies like Sony, Microsoft, all of them owe Nintendo a debt of gratitude for the Nintendo Entertainment System, because that thing just started a revolution that now has grown so big, has become so mainstream, that even though people like to say that console gaming is probably not going to last for long, we see the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 selling at a faster pace than any previous console. You know, we see people all into gaming on a level that they've never been before. And while Atari was the first salvo, Nintendo was the champion of the industry with the entertainment system. And I think a lot of you guys need to pay homage. No matter what you say about Nintendo now and how they are, we owe a lot as gamers to that company for the Nintendo Entertainment System, because that helped build the industry into what it is today. So yeah, cannot wait for November 11th, which is when the new reissued Nintendo Entertainment System comes out. My birthday is near, people, so please feel free if you want to buy it for me. I would appreciate that birthday present, because that would be just a bit of nostalgia that I would need as I get older. But anyway, feel free to hit us up at wiseguygse@gmail.com. Please leave a comment in the comment section and let us know what you think about Nintendo. Give us your thoughts, your experiences, your fond memories of the Nintendo Entertainment System, if you have any. And we'll see you next time on Retrospective. Peace out, people.